The wind flapped against the metal poles structuring Sergeant Sarge Roberts' strategy tent. Thick canvas protecting him, Dr. Lengel and Soldier 037 from the blistering sun and abrasive sand swirling around from the dunes housing their encampment. 037 stood frozen and facing forward as Dr. Lengel commanded. "No," Sarge boomed. Throb of veins in his eyes matched those on the side of his head at Dr. Lengel's request. "I didn't come in person to be denied, Sergeant." The alchemist wiped the sweat from his balding head and pulled a white wax-sealed envelope from his white trench coat. "You'll find everything in order and commanded by the tribunal. I'm afraid you have no right to refuse." Dr. Lengel tossed the envelope onto the table in front of Sarge. "I don't give a damn how many red stamps some paper has. I'm not taking a 16-year-old girl into battle." Grabbed the envelope, pushed the foldable table between them to the side, and shoved the paper into the doctor's chest. Square jaw clenched. "Do I really need to tell you where you can stick these?" Dr. Lengel stepped away from Sarge's hand, taking the mandate with him. He circled around 037 and wrapped his bony fingers around her shoulders. Yet her gaze remained unmoving. "Girl? Why, she is no more a girl than that gun strapped to your back. First of all, this is a rifle. Second of all, I will not be made a glorified babysitter." Dr. Lengel slumped his shoulder and stepped past 037 and toward Sarge. "Well, Sergeant, if you do not humor my field test, then we have no choice but to find someone who will, and place you in special retirement." With an outstretched hand offering the rejected papers back to Sarge, his face twists with a sneer. "Thank you, Smokey. You're a genius. I fucking love you. Thanks." Sarge strangled the paper in his hand and gritted his teeth. Hot air burned his throat more than usual. He walked around the girl and sized her up. His eyebrow twitched at the matrix of hairline surgical scars mapping her face and neck. Skin on her left temple pulled the corner of her left eye back. Felt the hairs on the back of his neck and on his arms stand on end. "The hell did you do to her?" "We turned her from an orphaned leech to an asset for the state. If she dies, then she was a failure. I guess I don't have much of a choice." Sarge marched to his chair, straightened the foldable table, and used as a desk. "Anyone else will only see her as a weapon. I can keep her safe." Sarge slammed the approval paper onto it. "But I can't protect her from what she's going to see just being here." "Then I'll leave her in your capable hands," the doctor sneered. "I wonder if there are any interesting animals around this wasteland." "There are many dangerous animals around here," Sarge thinks, "but none of your measure." Didn't copy over the italics. Yeah, I was a little bit like, is this supposed to be in his head? But that makes sense. "There are many dangerous animals around here," Sarge thinks, "but none of your measure." The arid air crushed any semblance of comfort. Even in the tense shade, Sarge pulled the papers out and began reading, but saw 037 still standing. Has she blinked since she got here? "At ease, soldier. Take a seat." She took the nearest chair and sat with her feet facing forward, her shoulders parallel to the ground and her hands resting on her knees. Her eyes remained as vacant as the barrel of Sarge's rifle, ready and fire at the moment's notice. Having revised the documents assigning 037 to his direction, Sarge stood and walked to her chair. "Since your only designation is 037, for ease of the mission, your moniker will be Maria." "Understood, sir. So tell me, Maria, you have been briefed on our mission?" The sand crunched under Sarge's foot as he paced. Maria's eyes traced him. "I have. Find the lizards. Retain for interrogation if possible. Exterminate if not." It's a rather simplified version. We don't need the Sol City locals on top of us. We sneak in, we sneak out. The entrance flap ruffled when a soldier entered with a clipboard in hand. "You've been granted clearance, sir. These are her documents, sir." Sarge took the board and began leafing through the printouts. "Tell Alan I expect him in here in 5. Dismissed." You've had quite an education, Maria. Graduate of Miss Joy's program. Correct, sir. These green soldiers are always so damn cocky. Field test. On this mission, my damn ass. Soldier, your devotion is to the state and to the tribunal. Do you understand that? Though her eyes, are there any human thoughts left behind them? Yes, sir. Sarge continued pacing. Sweat beaded on his head. He pulled a napkin from his pocket and patted his brow. Understand this. The tribunal granted me permission to perform unsanctioned actions at my discretion. We may need to kill, abduct, or use enhanced methods of questioning. Maria kept her eyes focused on Sarge. Understood, sir. This may include acts of heresy against the state. Maria's eyebrows twitched at these words. Her jaw tightened. She moved her hand from her leg to the hilt of her dwarven sword. If it serves the state, if it completes our objective, and if it adheres to our plans, then we act. Understood, sir, Maria said. Her voice with a focused calmness. However, any action is divorced in disservice to the state, whether intentional or not, will be treated as treachery. And how are our traitors rewarded? Traitors are terminated, sir. The entrance flapped again. Alan entered the tent. You called for me, sir? Dressed in camouflage rather than the drab beige garb Sarge wore, Alan's uniform seemed a size too big. I said for you to be here 5 minutes ago, not 6. Sorry, sir. I was 7 minutes away, sir. Are you sassing me, Corporal? Not at all, sir. Just stating facts, sir. Then shut your crooked-toothed yap and introduce this young lady to the rest of the platoon and get her a uniform. Alan turned to the young girl that sat facing Sarge. He saw her skin still taut with youth but marked with muscular striations. Sir, is this a good idea, sir? She's no older than my sister. Why, no, Corporal Allen. It's a shit idea. This is a shit idea created by a crazy alchemist that dropped this on us. But it's our orders, and we fold this soldier into our palms. Into our plans. And doing otherwise has been deemed a disservice to the state. Any further questions? No, sir. Sir, no, sir. Come with me. My designated moniker is Maria, sir. Soldier 037 states. Then follow me, Maria. We'll get you dressed and set up in a tent and cot. Alan guided 037 through the alleyways formed by the tents. Their breath began crystallizing in the night air. One thing about this desert, the cold nights are as harsh as the hot days. What are these soldiers' roles in the plans? Logistics, mainly. Get us here and get us out after we return. Mound! Meet Maria. The new recruit. Alan waved down a tall mass of muscle. The buzz cut stood 2 feet taller than Alan, and 2.5 more than 037. Mound rubbed his 5 o'clock shadow. This tiny girl's on the team? By order of the tribunal, yes, we're still figuring out a good role for her. She should stand a lookout for desert dog beasts. All she'd have to do is scream if she sees Harry Death snarling at her. It might not be a bad idea, Mound. Alan smiled. We never really get wildlife out here. He looked down at 037's head. The waning evening sun obscured the glint of Staples holding closed the scalp by her left temple. The back of his neck tensed with a thought. There wouldn't be much of her to bury if one did show up. Here, Mound said at 037, tossing her a canteen. Keep hydrated. You're most likely to die from the heat than anything else. She caught it with a single hand, moving only the muscles needed to do so. Thank you, Mound, Alan said on 037's behalf. Come on, Maria. Let's get you some supplies. A sea of stars twinkled over the desert floor. Sitting at the crest of the dune, the wind whistled around 037 and made her breaths appear like tufts of smoke. Everything's dead out here, she told herself, looking over the still blue and black shadows spread before her. Even the encampment behind her lay dark and still, remaining cloaked in night. 037 hears large, heavy steps crunching the sand behind her grow closer and closer. Her hand whips to the hilt of her sword. So they got you on lookout duty after all. Her hand slides off her sword's hilt at the sound of Mound's deep voice. I guess they sent him to relieve me. Yup. I hope you like that canteen I gave you. But one of the rules out here, little girl, things ain't free. Before she pushed herself to her feet, Mound's thick fingers gripped 037's arm and lifted her up. Don't worry, I'll make sure you enjoy it. Just relax. As soon as 037's feet lost contact with the sand she sat on, Mound felt the full weight of mithril-lined combat boots. Boots donkey kick his torso. A dull thud came from the metal plate that absorbed the kick's impact under his vest. His grip loosened as he stumbled a few steps back. Mound's face twisted into a scowl. Don't make this hard. This won't hurt if you behave. Mound sneered with anticipation as he rushed at 037, his arms outstretched, ready to pin her down. With a swift turn, 037 met Mound's face with the edges of the canteen he had given her. Crack of metal breaking bone rang out and threw Mound off his feet. Fountain of blood gushed out of Mound's nose from the impact. You dumb bitch, he said, wheezing. Thank you, Smokey. Jesus Christ, another 50? Oh my god, you're paying for my kids' food now. Smokey, even though I don't have kids. That's how much money you've given me. I can have kids now. Trying to control the bleeding and nursing his broken nose. You're going to be killed for this treachery. But when he looked at 037, he didn't see fear or nerves or excitement in her. Only saw a girl half his weight in a battle stance, unsheathed sword. Have any kids? Have my kids now. Yes, Smokey, if you fly here, I will artificially implant a womb so you can inseminate me. What is going on here? Sarge commanded, as he marched up the dune, flanked by Alan and two armed grunts. Sound of thick red blood dripping onto the sound. This traitor attacked me and stole my canteen. Sounds like a great time. Hell yeah, Smokey. I'm all in. I was there when you gave it to her, Mound. Alan yelled. What the hell is this dumbass going on about? Well, she refused to pay the price for it, Sarge. Just give me 15 minutes with her, and I'll straighten her out. Even in the dead of night, Alan saw Sarge's face turn bright red. She's not a toy for you shit-eating fuckwit. Mound climbed to his feet, turning back to 037 and faced Sarge, still holding his nose, his eyes peeled open. She better do what I say, or y'all gonna have a one-man mutiny. You think you're the big man, Sarge, but I could take every one of you. Put Mound's words cut short. His face turned from anger to confusion and his inability to breathe. Sarge's eyes darted from Mound's face to his chest and back. Alan's mouth fell open and took a step back. Two soldiers that accompanied them unsheathed their swords. Mound looked down and saw the triangular tip of a sword protruding from his chest. Treachery to the state is not tolerated, 037 said, and drew her sword from Mound's back. It will be met with death. Mound slumped to his knees and fell to his side. Medic! He rasped out with his last few breaths that remained in his body. That was dwarf glyphed steel she pierced. Even with the sharpest elf sword, the amount of force she needed to do that. What is she? Alan glanced at the mound of freshly killed muscle laying before him. Sarge, what do we do about him? It's a shame the dog beats got to him before we could save him, Officer Allen. I'm sure Dr. Langell will have a field day with this incident. Maria, you are recruited to the infiltration team in Mound's place. Understood. My sword requires cleaning now. Go ahead, soldier, Sarge commanded. We'll find a replacement lookout to take this moron's place. Alan and the two soldiers escorted 037 back to the encampment. The soldiers sheathed their swords, but felt their hearts beating with every step. Sarge looked at Mound's corpse. He knelt down next to it, removed Mound's holstered pistol, and stood. After giving the body a hearty spat on to the face, he turned and walked back to the encampment. The dawn dissipated the cold and antagonized 037 as she slept in her cot. The sword she earned from General Smith rested on her chest with both hands gripping its hilt. You fidgeted all night. Are you nervous? 038 asked, sitting at 037's feet. Don't worry, 038 said, with a smirk. I'm sure if you killed me so easily, then you can do anything. A spurt of blood jumped from a gash on 038's neck and onto 037's face. With a quick swipe, 037 plunges her sword into her sister's chest. The sun shifted the darkness in the tent, permeating space with amber diffused light and casting away 038 along with other shadows. 037 lowered her sword and lessened her heavy breath. Are you decent? Alan's voice asked. I'm coming in. Pushed the flap door open and poked in. Oh, wow. Do you just sleep with that thing in your hands? Yes. What are my orders? That's what we're finding out. Sarge wants us at the planning table in 15 minutes, so get dressed and ready. Understood. Alan gives her a friendly smile and leaves. 037 removes her puffy insulated sleep suit and that brought her to a sweat in the increased desert temperature. She slipped into a cotton long-sleeve shirt and cotton trousers that protected the scars and burned-in glyphs that marked her body. After buttoning her thick cloth mithril woven uniform, she pulled on her combat boots and strapped her sword to her side. Having finished dressing herself, 037 folded her sheets, straightened her pillow, and left her cot immaculate. Once finished, she took a moment and glanced at the spot where her memory tortured her. The state commands and I execute. I won, so I lived, she tells herself before marching out to the tent and toward Sarge's intelligence meeting. Burning oil perfumed the air inside the tent. Triple-ply canvas formed its walls and protected its confidentialities of their plans and decisions from even the sun. A lantern hung from its peak. The lantern's flame illuminated a map of Soul City laid out on the center table. All right, soldiers, we'll start with what we know. Lizard folk are starting a nest in Soul City, Sergeant stated. Alan looked at the map, his face stern. His eyes moved from the front gate to the city's surrounding wall, to the sewer entrances circled in red, and to the myriad of houses populating the outskirts of the city unprotected from the wall. However, 037's eyes remained fixed and unblinking on the statuettes representing possible nesting places for the lizard folk. She looks like a viper preying on mice, Sarge thought, watching her as she spoke. Our primary concern is capturing one alive for interrogation. If possible, we quell the infestation. I've dealt with elves before. Anything we should know about lizard folk? Alan asked. Glamour magic, answered 037. Mind manipulation. Exactly, which means we won't know who's being controlled by them, or we won't even, or if we're even facing one that made itself look human, Sarge said. I'll know. Clenching her jaw and narrowing her eyes, 037 squeezed the hilt of her sword. Sarge tapped the main entrance marked on the map. We will use a two-phase approach. Phase 1, we infiltrate as civilians. We scout. We leave. No weapons, no fighting. Phase 2, after analyzing our data, we create a plan of attack. Due to the aforementioned mind manipulation of those mosaics use, this will be a marked mission. Why is it always missions with remote kill marks, sir? Alan spoke up. Why not flush them out from the get-go instead of risking our asses sneaking in twice? I hate reconnaissance missions. I'm a fighter, not an actor. Too many unknown variables, officer. We don't know if there's only one, or if they already populated the entire city. We work off of data, not faith. Sir, I'm taking my sword, 037 said, her eyes fixed on Sarge's. That's a negative, soldier. All weapons stay checked into the armory. If she speaks another word, I'll consider it insubordination, and this little field test comes to an end. Understood, sir. Sarge breathed out an imperceptible sigh of disappointment. We move out tomorrow morning, and the encampment will mobilize to a new location. We'll be picked up upon success of the mission. Maria, what's our motto? We win or we die, sir. Dismissed. 037 turns about, faced on her heels, and marches out of the tent. Alan follows, so the tribunal really thinks feeding those cold bleeders a girl-turned-alchemy experiment benefits the state. So be it. I'll do my best to keep her alive, though my best barely keeps me alive. The sun showed no mercy, pounding down on the encampment. The pen in 037's hand scratched against the end cap of a long octagonal balsa wood container. Armory stamped her moniker, Maria 037, in black letters on its side, and it held her sword within it. May I come in? Alan's muffled voice asks. Affirmative. The pen laid ink in precise squiggles that shaped the wings of a black butterfly. Alan flapped open the door and entered. The springs on 037's cot squealed under his weight. That's an interesting design. I wouldn't have thought you knew how to paint. Makes sense you'd want to personalize that. So she does have a softer side. Miss Joy taught us many things, she responded. The crack of Miss Joy's meter stick on her knuckles rang out in her mind. One wrong serif means the difference between a successful spell and a failure. Be more like 038, Miss Joy would tell 037. Who would have thought the person that took out Mound like butterflies? Alan sat and watched 037. Not sure about this sentence. I feel like it just... there should be something more to it. Just the way that it's set up. Like this kind of person would have taken out Mound? I don't know. That's the first sentence I'm coming to where I'm like, that instantly feels off to me. But I don't know. Alan sat and watched 037 finish the ink drawing and capped the box. She is a girl, after all. Some things don't change. 037 braced the long box on the ground. 037 braces the long box on the ground, held between her knees, and the butterfly facing her. With a few swift motions, she zips down her uniform's coat and bares her sternum. What? Wait, what are you doing? Alan asked, turning away. Who would have thought that the person who took out Mound liked butterflies? Maybe? Yeah, I feel like the sentence itself is trying to say two things. So that makes a lot more sense. Who would have thought the person that took out Mound liked butterflies? Okay. Boom. See, that's where it's like I would have never been able to figure out that it was just a missing D. No pun intended. Smokey loves his missing Ds. Oh, which reminds me, Smokey, I didn't take your toke. I am a scammer, aren't I, Smokey? I'm an absolute scammer. I just completely forgot about you. I blame you for not saying anything, Smokey. You have to remind me. If you don't remind me, it's your own fault. Okay, everyone ready for sync toke? Wait, you were supposed to count down, Smokey. You never counted down. You know what, Smokey? If you're not going to follow the rules, I'm not going to follow the rules. 1. Okay, go! Ads. I hate ads. Ads are bad and cold. Ads are bad. Kids, don't do ads, okay? Ads are bad and cold. Ads are bad. Don't do ads. Okay. Okay. Well, what are you doing, Alan asked, turning away. The sizzle of flesh turned him back. 037 leaned into the box, pressing the drawing onto her chest. The dwarven branding ink activated and releasing the smell of burning flesh and white light between the skin and wood. Alan's hand wiped to the box, but 037's hand caught it and clamped it in place. So she's self-branding a butterfly on her chest. Epic. 037 tensed her eyes as the butterfly painting seared her torso. However, when one of the two tattoos on her shoulders began glowing blue, her body relaxed. Is that ancient elven oath? Alan asked himself, finding himself unable to process the action. Stop that, Alan demanded, his mind snapping back in time to watch 037 pull away the box, along with skin burnt to it. Second tattoo on her opposite shoulder began glowing green in concert with the brand wound, which then disappeared into a precise pink mirrored scar of the butterfly she drew. The glow from her tattoos disappeared and hid into her skin. I have to go check this into the armory, sir, she said, and stood up. Alan's mouth remained as wide as his eyes for a few moments before she responded. Yes, go ahead. She zipped up and walked out, leaving Alan sitting in her car. I think it means before he responded, because he's the one saying yes, go ahead, not her. Wait, what did I just witness her do? The image of the butterfly painting enters his mind. He thought of every mark, every pen scratch, every dot of ink on 037 laid down. Was that a spell? He looked at the canvas covering the door. I best keep that quiet for her sake. A green pickup rumbled an unmarked dirt path, kicking up a wall of dust and sand in its trail. The bed had long been removed and replaced with a tall wooden box that had a white tarp stretched across the top. Every bump and pothole the road had jostled. Alan and 037 Sarge drove, one hand on the steering wheel, the other resting on the bench seat under the missing rear window, dividing him from his subordinates. Okay, Maria, describe our covers again, Alan said. You're my father. Sergeant Brown is our neighbor. We're farmers. Correct. A black, petrified tree passed by and got smaller as it sank into the indiscernible vastness. From under the makeshift bench, bolted to the wooden truck bed, a dried corn cob rolled out and tapped 037's shoe, explaining the smell of maize and animal feed surrounding her. Rather than thick cargo pants, a blue-laid dress flowed around her ankles. I have a daughter about your age, Alan said. If I were home, she'd probably be bugging me for money so she can go to the pictures with her friends. Being a family man and getting into the military. I can't say I'm jealous, Sarge said without taking his eyes off the road. And here I am thinking of having another one soon as I get home, Alan chuckled. Give Rose a little brother or sister. 037's face remains frozen and stoic, but the look of shock and sadness on 038's face when she lost her blood and life earned 037 her graduation from Miss Joy's academy graded in her mind. Do you ever regret winning instead of dying? Alan looked at the girl, staring at him, her eyes aimed straight at his, unblinking. Regret? No. I do wish things were different, that I hadn't had to make choices I made, or that someone else had been given the orders we follow. But I don't regret doing what I've done. The suspension steadying the truck rattle with the path's textures. The sun continued punishing them for traversing the desert. Sarge remained quiet and listened. We are at war, Maria. And if we don't win, not only will we die, but they'll take everyone too. He grabs a heart-shaped locket around his neck. So we do what we must. Like the tribunal, we must make the right call. We must sacrifice. The usual smile Alan carries fades as he continues, and we must protect everyone no matter the price. Understood. 037 slumped back in her chair. I did her a favor. If she was ready, she'd have the sword, and not me. All right, Mr. Smith, Sarge yelled over his shoulder. Get your daughter ready to enter the market square because we just officially entered the Soul City outskirts. The city walls towered in the background. Entire trees cut square formed the planks of the open doors that allowed entrance to the humans and dwarves who endure the heat of the travel. The voices haggling over jewelry, brews, fruits, or hanging salted meat dying on hooks became instinct, white noise filling the city square. indistinct white noise filling the square. Children kicked a ball made of rags and rubber to each other, running circles around a statue of a city founder with a name only known to historians that read the margins of their tomes. 037s darted from face to face, as if examining individual grains of sand in the surrounding desert. It's probably supposed to say gaze. 037's gaze darted from face to face. Or eyes. Sergeant splintered away from them. Gonna hit the underground, he said, walking up towards the cantinas. Alan shook his head. Come on, Maria, I'll show you the market square. She saw no scales or pointed ears on haughty heads. Alan walked ahead of her a few steps. Both pushed through farmers and merchants. Some, the humans, stood nearly a meter taller than her. Others, dwarfs with thick necks and beards, reached the height of her elbows. So dwarfs in this world, elves in this world are actually short? A meter is that's a lot. Like, I'm only 158 centimeters tall. So that means she'd be the, isn't she an elf or is she a dwarf? I guess I'm confused now. Because I thought she was an elf, but I guess she has to be a dwarf, right? I'm retarded, because elves and lizardmen are the enemies, but she's using elf magic? Because I know it said that Mound stood 2 feet taller than her, but she's a human, but they tried to give her elf-like qualities through experimentation. Okay. It's just like some humans stood nearly a meter taller than her. She's fucking short. Like, a meter is a lot. Like, she wouldn't even be up to my waist. So she'd be like short for a dwarf. Might need to edit this a bit. I'm just saying, maybe like a couple of meters, like a couple feet. Like the same way that, emphasize that Mound wasn't actually that tall. She's just really short. So other people, so you'd think at first, Mound was just really tall. But no, she's actually just, kind of maybe 4'8". And other people are, 6 foot. Right? Maybe even, she's even shorter than that. Maybe her transformation fucked with her in some way and made her shorter. But yeah, I think a meter is a bit much. A bit much. That makes either humans are really fucking tall or she's short. And even with a dwarf, you'd expect that's dwarf height. So then it makes me think she is a dwarf. So I guess that's just a clarification moment of figuring out actually how tall she is and what she is. Two others, dwarves with thick necks and beards, reached a height of her elbows. Hey, look, Maria. A pendant just like mine. So that would mean dwarfs would be a foot tall. So if humans are 1.5 meters and she's a meter less, then dwarfs are here. So dwarfs less than a foot tall. And that's just how I'm thinking about it in my head, right? So that kind of makes it definitely but if it's humans are 6 feet, she's 4 or 5, dwarfs are 3 feet. Maybe 4 feet. That rounds it down more, right? But yeah, I definitely see what you're going with this, where she's an in-between of them. And whether elves are tall or not, I wanted Mound to be a large person, about 7 feet or so. Maria around 5 feet. Okay. Okay. So maybe that entire idea that they're a meter taller than her. Just say everyone was nearly, you know, nearly her height, except for the dwarves. The dwarves only reached up to her elbows. That way you can play with the contrast of height. Hey look, Maria, a pendant just like mine, Alan said when they faced a jeweler's wares. He held it up, and it glimmered in the desert sun. Oh my god, Maria is my height. Yay! Representation! I see how a meter would make them about 8 feet tall. Yeah, they'd be like 8 to 8.5 feet tall. It's pretty fucking tall, right? So that kind of makes sense to get it back on order and in track and doing what it needs to do. I'm 6'2" and my wife is 5 flat. There you go. That's perfect. I think that's the same with Queen. Pretty much the same with Queen. Her husband's tall, right, Queen? Yeah. Twinning! Wow, in his first day here, he's 5'9", but that's still pretty tall. I'm only like 5'5", 5'6". He's twinned with me and he's twinned with you, Queen. He's meant to be here. The world is telling him. We're just all about this. Hell yeah, Smokey! Gimme money, 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 money. Pull the thing, pull the thing, pull the thing, pull the thing. Pull the thing, pull the thing. Money, 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 money. Have my babies. I edited. Ooh. Is that what you posted in the Discord, Callie? My dad told me that the shorter the girl, the more concentrated the crazy. So, of course, I married the shortest girl I could find. Oh, I fucking love that. That's amazing. Absolutely fucking perfect. Thank you, Smokey. You're a fucking gem, bro. Thanks for throwing all your money at me. I don't know how you got the money. I don't want to know. And if you're trying to, launder the money through me, I have another way for you to do that. Just to let you know. In case. Right? Oh, it was Queen. I'm retarded. Queen, thank you. I just assume it's Smokey. I'm sorry, Queen. He's just usually the only person on Kick. I feel bad now. Queen, thank you. Making fun of Smokey here. You don't? No, I don't read, Callie. I hear the sound and I go, God damn it, Smokey, stop giving me fucking money, you bitch. Shut the fuck up. It's fucking reflex. I can't help it. Oh my god, thank you, Smokey. Thank you so much. Oh my god, thank you, Queen. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. I feel like I really need to do something with that and make that more impactful than it is. Especially when you give more than one bit, one kick. But I appreciate it. He held up. He held it up. You could just say glimmering, but yeah. Callie! Oh my god, Smokey! Stop it, Smokey! What are you doing? Stop giving me money, please, Smokey! Save your money, bro! Go give it to Booba Chicks! I really appreciate it, but go give it to Booba Chicks who need it. Right? Go pay someone's rent. But you gotta tell me what booba you're going to, so I go to the same... I mean, what? So I can tell people to stay away from it. Give it to me, I'm hungry. I have to go shopping tomorrow. I guess that would be later today, because it's 2:30 in the morning. Oh my god. Smokey, thank you for the kicks. You're making my day, bro. You've given me more money than I could ever have imagined. Like, I'm gonna go... Guys, I can sail off into the sunset and retire, but I would never do that because I love you guys, and I love doing this, and why would I ever stop? I mean, I'm having a fucking blast. I'm having the time of my life, and I'm doing what I want to do. Who could ask for anything more? I am absolutely blessed that I'm able to do this. And, you know, it's all because of you guys. Because you guys are fucking amazing. So, thank you. I really appreciate it. We should focus on our tasks. We'll get to the grains soon enough, Alan said, still admiring the pendants. Oh my god, Smokey, how many of those do you have, man? So far I've counted $3 plus everything else. You've given me like $3.50, bro. What the hell? Giovanni 2910, thank you for the follow. Welcome, welcome.
It'd be a perfect match for us.
I'm not that interested. Are you smoking?
Who?
I mean, Smokey, I really appreciate it, but like,
Baby.
What? When did you start smoking?
1989-ish?
you should save your money for yourself, brother.
Makes sense. The filled ashtrays.
It's all-
Pine-scented hairspray.
Yes, I'll say it. Her 3-pack-a-day voice.
That's all I'm gonna say, okay? Smokey, you're amazing. I love you. Thank you so much. Bro, it's like 3... It's not even 3 pounds. It's like less than 3 pounds. Unless you don't get the conversion rate, and you bought them at 1 cent, as in like 1/100th of a pound. And I get in Canadian that $3, but that $3 in Canadian is like $6. Wait, dude, is this an infinite money glitch? Smokey, can I take my dollars, give them to you, you transfer them into pounds, and then transfer them back into dollars, and I give you $1, you turn that dollar into $2, then you give that $2 to me, and I turn that $2 into $4. And then it's an infinite money glitch. No, you would lose money. But if it was a direct transition, like if it cost me 50 cents to get 50... There are fees in doing those? Oh yeah, because that's how they gain money. They gain money with transaction fees. But it's an infinite money glitch. It would double every time. Because my 3 Canadian dollars would turn into 3 of his pounds would turn into 6 of my Canadian dollars. And then 6 of my Canadian dollars would turn into 6 of his pounds, and then 6 of his pounds would turn into 12 of my dollars, and then 12 of my dollars would turn into 12 of his pounds, and 12 of his pounds would turn into $24 of my Canadian. And we would be doing that through Kik, because Kik would be doing the transfer rate, which would not actually be doing a transfer rate. So thus, it would actually be paying out statistically twice as much money to Smokey. If I gave him 50 kicks, it would actually give him equivalent to twice as much money, because it's giving him 50 quid, right? Is that what, like, cents are? But the fees are minuscule, Queen. The fees are, like... In this case, that's the reason why they do it in, like, kicks. Because the kick itself is not actually a transaction fee. So the only time they have to pay a transaction fee is when they pay you out. So no matter, that's the reason why they use things like kicks and bits instead of direct money donations, because then it counts as a summary, not as a transaction. So thus, they don't have to worry about a payout fee until the total streamer gets paid out. Then they transfer those kicks into real money and then pay out with that. So it saves them a bunch of transactions and money moving around in the middle. So basically, like, you buy the kicks and you give your money to Kick by buying the kicks, or to Twitch by buying the bits, and then they give you the bits, and then you send those bits to other people, and then those bits get turned into money that's given to those people, instead of the money directly changing hands between you. And that saves transaction fees, because the only transaction is when you buy the kicks and when the kicks are paid out to the streamer. But mainly, yes, companies like thrive on transaction fees. Because, for instance, with my bank, if you transfer anything, it's 90 cents, no matter how much money. So if you're transferring like $20, it's fucking 5% of your fucking money. So when you transfer, you want to make sure you're transferring large amounts of money, so you're not wasting it, right? Because, like, I have an unfortunate case where, like, my bank account is tied to a credit union in BC. So I have another bank account here that's just for transfers, so I have a card. So it's like I technically don't have any way for my other bank account to use the money other than transferring to another bank. Because I don't have a card for it, because the card expired and I can't go back to BC to get one. So... problem of transferring citizenship from like BC to Alberta, basically. They don't, like, it's basically like, because it's the credit union and it's like such a small thing, they literally don't, it's like they don't accept it here kind of idea, right? Like, it's its own small niche thing. And it's only for like BC, basically. So 100 kicks is 1.09, but you get $1, you lose 9 cents. Yeah, but if it turned into $2, you'd gain 81 cents, or 91 cents, Queen. Because the idea would be that, my $1 is equivalent to Smokey's €1, or £1, even though the exchange rate between them is like 2.9. Like, it's more than double, as far as I know, from like Canadian. It's like a pound is more than double. So if it was doing a direct 1-to-1 on Kick, you would have an infinite money glitch. I don't think it works that way, but that would be funny if it worked that way. Because then essentially, I could donate I could donate all of my money to Smokey, and then Smokey could transfer the money directly to my bank, and then my bank would basically double the money because it'd go through the transfer rate, right? So I think all in all it's a net win, but you're gonna get charged with fraud, and especially if you do it with a large amount of money, you're gonna get clobbered. So don't do it. But it's a funny story. Maybe I should write a short story about it happening. And it's simply they just didn't code it properly, and then people took advantage of it, and it wound up bankrupting the company. That would be an interesting story. How do you recover from something like that? Anyways, yeah. Sorry, Hugo. This stream is all about tangents. We get on tangents all of the time, but, you know, that doesn't mean we're not going to finish the story, right? We always go back to where we were. We can look around the market to see if anything interesting catches our eyes. Wrapped the necklace around 037's neck and latched it under the wig, hiding her military haircut. This fits you. How much is this? 50 coins, sir. Alan put the silver coins from his purse and relinquished it to the merchant. Here, Maria, I want you to have it. Come on, let's find food. 037 took the annealed golden heart that nestled in her palm, pressing a small button on the bottom of it, clicking it open. It's empty. As they walked, she felt pressure build up under the scar behind her left eye. Talisman triggered. There's magic nearby. Where is it? Her eyes jumped from face to face. The pressure arose and fell with each one. Him. Her eyes landed on a bearded man. He wore a white tunic that flowed to his knees with a red eye on his chest. Blue pant sleeves puffed out from underneath it. Seeing him pushed the taste of forest leaves and flower petals from the talisman screwed into her skull, into her mouth. Elf magic. Father, follow me, she said to Alan while glaring at the monk. She grabbed Alan's sleeve and pulled him along without losing sight of her target. What happened? Is there food over there? Sweet solution of honey mixed with flavors of sun-dried leaves filled 037's mouth as she sipped from a cup served to her. Mimicking Alan's motions. And you're sure about this, Maria? Thin, elderly, gray-haired man clanked silver tea kettles and metal cups behind the round island counter in the center of the shop. Yes, 037 said in a hushed voice, looking at the white adobe 3-story cube-shaped building across the street. She continued. It was an elf spell, lifting her hand to her left temple. Queen! In a vain attempt at easing the prickling sensation plaguing her. The entire building gives it off. Alan sunk into his chair, balled his fist, and tapped the wooden table with his knuckles as if knocking on a door. I need to find Sarge. She is trained. I could leave her here secretly surveying the place. The tea kettle whistled. A few moments later, a second harmonized with it. No, we're safer in a group. She'd better come with me. The tea owner's son ran up to him. He sighed, and a few drops of sweat landed on his red vest. His father signaled the boy to approach and provided him with a shopping list. I think some of your stuff is like, it's funny in context, right? Like it goes from dark, so it's like it's a comic relief moment, but it's in a normal story it wouldn't be, but in your story it is, simply because of the tone of the story is so dark that even that kind of thing can be a moment of comedic relief. Like satire. Like the way that Stella views Gawain, for instance. Because to me, it feels like Stella is almost jealous of Gawain because he can accept himself. Even though technically Gawain's running away from himself. Which I think is a cool dynamic between the characters. But I don't know if that's what you intend, and that's just what I picked up on. Welcome back, Hugo. His father signaled the boy to approach and provided him with a shopping list of herbs as well as a stern look and pointed finger. Alan surveyed the spice store next to the suspected place she could hide on the roof. What am I thinking? I'm not going to leave a child alone in this city. Okay, let's find Sarge, and we'll figure it out from there. Alan dropped enough coin to cover their tea at the center of the table. Understood. Structure there needs more tweaking, I think. Yeah, it feels like a little bit abrupt. It's like he keeps going too much back and forth. But there doesn't seem to be a reason why he's going back and forth. It's like he's just forgetting and then being like, oh yeah, shit, I can't do that. Which seems like innocuous, right? Like, why would it be there unless it's signaling something about the way that the character thinks? So unless it's part of, like, the character arc itself, I don't think it's necessarily as needed to be pushed. Understood. They both stood and headed for the blinding sun that waited for them on the street outside the tea shop. The old man wiped down the counter and watched them leave his shop. Glints of silver and gold.
Sweetheart. Take those sexy glasses off like a good girl. You don't need to see what happens next.
I think I wrote the same idea twice because I forgot I had already handled it. Ah, okay. Yeah, I was wondering. Smokey brings disaster. Smokey brings disaster. The next thing we need is to get the disaster away from Smokey. How do we do this? We ban him from the stream. So the next thing, he'll be talking about the fucking Whitakers, saying, why don't you put on the Whitakers? We want to see some Whitakers. Smokey want to see some Timmy. We want to see some Timmy go up in here and be like, we got this, don't worry about it, guys. You're going to go shopping today, Timmy. We're going to get you some food, right? Timmy likes food. Yeah, it's going to be a good time. Yeah. Right, Smokey? You paying for my food? Yeah, I like that. Thank you, Smokey. You're a good guy. I don't think this shit's gonna end. I'm pretty sure the Votrix one is fucked. No Whitakers for you today, Smokey. Glints of silver and gold called him to their former table. He rushed to the table and pocketed the money. After snatching the kettle and cups, the owner wiped away any presence of the mock father and daughter had left behind. I wonder what seedy bar Sarge got to, Alan thought as he rubbed the back of his neck. Walked towards the crowded town center. The street flowed easily, going away from the area that The street flowed easier, going away from the area than towards it. Streets. The child's red vest caught her eye. He pointed at Alan and herself while talking to the red-eye monk, whose bulging round eyes pierced the crowd and looked at them. We've been compromised, 037 said in a whispered voice. I can see that, Alan said, as his smile flattened. Street traffic. Ah! And it's just like the flow of the direction, you know. It's like pushing against the current of a river. But they're going with the current now, which is flowing away. Alan said as his smile flattened. If we duck into a small alley, we might lose them, and we'll minimize casualties. We should blend into the crowd.
Gaming chair dance.
If we don't lose them,
Kidults will now dance
we
for
can
you.
use the bodies as
Please
cover.
fully enjoy this immersive
3 more
experience.
monks joined the first and began their march towards them. No, let's lose them in the alley. We can square in an empty building until we have a chance to escape. Oh no, guys, I'm trying to turn myself back, but this is not. There we go. Okay. Okay, there. I was worried I was just gonna keep spinning in a circle.
Keep dancing, bitch, it ain't over yet.
Oh no. This is not working. We can squat in an empty building. I have a bloody nose, mate! We all have noses in it! Shit, Callie, that's not good that you have a bloody nose, bro. That's really not good, Callie.
You did good, you can rest now, babe.
We should blend into the crowd. We don't lose them. We can use the bodies as cover. 3 more monks joined the first and began their march toward us. No, let's use the alley. We can squat in an empty building. Fuck, I'm fucking retarded. I'm fucking retarded. Alan037 began hurrying down the street towards an opening between buildings before the crowd. Follow me. 037 looked at the safety of a large crowd as she kept pace with Alan. Before entering the alley, she glanced back at the monks. 2 of the 4 sprang onto awnings of nearby buildings and scurried to other roofs. Exactly, Smokey. It's just fucking retarded. The 2 remaining on the ground closed half the gap to the alley. Every door they hurried past seemed thick, heavy, and locked. Every window shuttered and locked close to them. She saw robes and the bottom of shoes jump from building to building on either side of them. There were no people. The alley flanked them, and the 2 behind them. Their scales peeked through their glamour magic more and more. Pledge blood for this request, 037 uttered as she tore apart the necklace of her dress. If not my enemy, then my own. Finishing her prayer, she pressed her thumb to her sternum. What is she doing? Alan wondered, but the orange glow of the pink butterfly brand on 037's chest answered. She turned herself into a summons rune. The orange light soon turned into searing white, bubbling and burning the skin it marked. Face tensed, her teeth clenched. But the long box holding her sword in the armory extruded itself from the emblem. Move! Yelled 037, throwing Alan into thrashing crates across the alley and simultaneously flinging herself to the opposite side. With a thunderous sound, the ground shook and the alley filled with dust. The last few lengths of the box flew out of her chest glyph. The dust began to settle. 037's realized that one of the 2 monks that tailed them on the roofs dropped on them, silhouette hunched over in the middle of the alley. She saw his silhouette stand. Using both hands, the lizard folk lifted the torso-sized maul he used in his aerial attack, hoping the intruders had been crushed in the pit of the crater he created. Second roof monk landed in the dust, his claws plopping down. Soon after, the 2 ground stalkers joined in. Under cover of the dust, 037 pries open the long box holding her sword and slides it out. The fleck of a twisted and gnarled focus, the lizard folk assailant swirls away the cloud covering them. Pieces of metal and wood clank on the ground as Alan stood from the wood he landed on. Maybe we can negotiate, he thought, gripping rebar wired to a block of wood at its tip. We don't have much leverage, though. He looked at 037 as she stood ready to attack, with her shoulders rising and falling with her breaths. I have a sister to get back to. I have to keep us alive. He looked at the 3 lizard folk, fighters in formation around the wizard. Kill the wizard, kill the barbarian, kill the fencer, capture the rogue. 037 squatted low so she could pounce high. Past the rogues. I can make my sword reach the center. We're just passers-by. We don't mean any trouble, Alan began. Maybe there's a way that me and my daughter can... The wizard pulled the wooden gnarled focus from under his robe. With a flick of it, 073's yanked out of her hands and sailed at Alan. I'm confused. 073's yanks out of her hands. What yanks out of her hands and sails out? The sword? Sword, I think that's supposed to say. Yanks out of her hands and sails at Alan. Yeah, okay. He evaded the sword stabbing halfway through the adobe wall behind him. Two fighters flanking the barbarians scattered. The fencer reached Alan. The scabbard blocked by the rebar in Alan's hand. I have to get to Maria and get us out. The rogue scurried past 037, swiping at her. She jumped back, the scabbard scratching superficially on her shoulder. The glyph on her chest glows, healing the wound, leaving only a line of blood and a thin scar in its place. Half-elf, he hissed. You're still dead. No, not half-elf, she said, narrowing her eyes and gritting her teeth at the accusation. The rogue gave a low growl and bolted for another attack. In a quick sweep, 037 evades and lands on his shoulders. She plunged her fingers into his eye sockets. Fucking yes! Oh my god, yes! No holds barred. Just fuck you. Dropped his scabbard with a sharp scream. He grabbed her arms, but she kept them clamped in place. From under his robe, a tail shot out and whipped around her neck. I need to end this thing. Her grip tightened, pushing her fingers further in. The rogue flailed his arms and tightened his tail, but she held. Alan's rebar weapon scraped against his opponent's scabbard. We take out these two, and then them. The fencer, facing him, sliced through the air, but Alan met his wrist with a stalk of metal, batting away the scabbard. Using the momentum, and with a dull thud against the chest, Alan kicked the fencer down. Now's my chance for a real weapon. He rushed to the wall. 037's sword refused to budge when he grabbed it and pulled. Used my feet. Leveraging a foot on the wall, he dislodged it. Few stumbled steps back. I got it! Fencer's tail tripped his feet, and Alan hit the ground, 073's sword skidding across the alley. The barbarian juggernaut, holding the hammer, saw a sword stop next to his foot. Sewing needle of a weapon, he thinks. Alan jumped to his feet and scrambled for the derelict scabbard, pulling it away before the fencer fetched it. The blood loss tired the rogue. His tail loosened from around 037's neck. The beginnings of a smile rose from 073. I don't lose, she thinks, attempting a tight squeeze. I don't die. The tail slipped off her neck and thumped the cobblestone ground. You die, not me. Feeling his life slip away at her fingertips, the same as she once held her sister's, tensing every muscle in her body and glaring at the dying mass of scales beneath her, she said, I will... The sound of cold metal crashing against the meat and bone bashed into 037. The barbarian swung her over his head on his hammer, tossing her to the center of the alley. The barbarian swung her over his head on his hammer. So he's like, and like center flying backwards? Tossing her into the center of the alley. The pain, number, and healing glyphs on her torso glowed bright, running her breath ragged. My sword, it's right there. Go on, the barbarian said in a deep voice. Get it. Let's see what good it does you. Pain numbing, yeah. She stood, the broken bones in her left arm left it a limp tentacle hanging at her side. Explosion behind her did not distract her from her sword. She limped towards it. Fencer's scaled hands dazed Alan. Alan brought the scabbard down onto the fencer, only to be blocked by his bare, scaled arm. These scales are harder than elven armor, he thought. Swinging again to the same effect, the fencer bared his claws and aimed for the face. Alan sunk the blade into the lizard folk's belly between two of his scales. Even the elven armor has chinks. Fencer's body slumps, weight pushing him further onto his own scabbard. Looks like I won again. Fencer's body turned into a silhouette of a brief moment, as explosive fire engulfed it. The smell of burnt scale and the sound of sizzling meat landed next to him after flaying against the brick wall. The wizard took a step forward, his twisted wand aimed at Alan. He saw 037 hobbling towards her sword. Gotta help. Gotta help her, he said to himself in scattered thoughts. Took the scabbard. Inerzio Lux, he commanded. Fucking hell, Smokey. And a bolt of lightning sprung from the branch and brought Alan to his knees. Why are you so mean, Smokey? Why do you have to be this way? Why can't you be the nice guy? Took the scabbard. Inerzio Lux, wizard commanded. Smoking too, don't forget that. Don't remind me, Smokey. If you remind me, Smokey, I'm gonna skip your sync toke. So get your shit ready. You better be ready, because I'm ready. Here for your troubles. I appreciate it, Smokey. I love you. Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it, bro. It means so much to me that you're willing to just throw your money at me like I'm a fucking cheap stripper. I really appreciate it. Like a really cheap stripper. Like a stripper in like the 20s. Where you're throwing like 1 cent dollar bills at me. Like 1 cent bills. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Okay, on 3, we're gonna toke. 1, 2, 17, 18. Oh, it's the wrong direction. 16. 4, 9, 8, 7, 3. Hell yeah. Good tokes all around, boys. Okay. And brought Alan to his knees. His screams filled the alley. The scream drowned out the sound of metal scraping on stone as 037 picked up her sword. Glyphs make her sluggish. Her hand trembled around the hilt of her sword. Alan's screams died down, the slow thunks of a lumbering giant's legs walking to her, replacing it. You dumb apes should have stayed in the trees, the hammering judgment uttered. Before the hammer slammed down onto 037's head, a hand behind the barbarian grabbed the maul and locked it in place. And you cold bloods should have stayed in a hole in the ground. Sarge's gruff voice responded, pulled the hammer back and out of the muscular lizard folk's hands. Twisting in place, the barbarian's fist landed firmly on Sarge's jaw. The metallic taste of blood and a broken tooth filled his mouth. Sarge returned the favor, tearing his knuckles open on his large opponent. You are weak. Thank you, Smokey, the mountainous lizard folk said with a smile. I ain't got to be as strong to take you down, soldier. Soldier barked. I ain't got to be as strong to take you down, soldier. Sarge barked at 037. Get Alan and book it. Sarge's contender went for a second blow. Sarge weaved his arms around the joints and grappled him, bringing him down in a vice-like lock. Understood. 037 staggered toward Alan at the wizard. Stop! The wizard commanded, placing Alan between himself and his opponents. Release my soldier, or my wand will paint the streets with his brains. You're missing the period between down and soldier. I know I read too fast, Hugo. And I was like, oh, right. Like triple take. It is what it is, right? He says that, then he says soldier, referring to 037, right? Through the onset of shock, Alan managed an eye open and locked it onto 037. The heart pendant hanging between Alan's shirt and chest, the sternum behind it, and the flesh heart pumping behind the grave 037 sword, little resistance. Yeah, I might have to clarify it. No, it's me. I'm retarded. I just don't see things because I'm reading like a sentence ahead. Like I'm reading in my head a sentence ahead of what I'm saying out loud. So it's almost like what I'm saying out loud is a memorization of what I've already read. Does that make sense? So it's just me actually just saying what I'm thinking in my head. And then it kind of just... both are happening at the same time, so I get, like, things confused. Like, I'll combine words together, or I'll say a word from a sentence in the future. And then have to go back and be like, nope, reorient yourself. Get rid of the, press the refresh button, get rid of that delay. The heart pendant hanging between Alan's shirt and chest, the sternum behind it, and the flesh heart pumping behind that gave 037's sword little resistance, and it pierced its way through the human soldier and into the wizard's torso. No other choice. No better chance to kill the wizard, 037 thought as blood ran down her blade and dripped to the ground. Oh my fucking god. For the state, Alan whispered. His arms and legs fell limp, along with the wizard's focus and body. 037 withdrew her swords, limping to Sarge and his resistant prize. Objectives completed. We can extract the live subject through the sewers. How exactly to suggest we force this thing through the sewers? I'm barely holding it down without having to move. With surgical precision, 037 pushes the tip of her sword into the barbarian's spine. The juggernaut's limb fell motionless. Okay, I guess I'll muzzle him. 037 tore off the remnants of her tattered dress and tied her broken arm into a splint. Two metal knocks sounded on Sarge's wooden door. An incandescent hanging light illuminated his desk. A pair of translucent windows flanked him, the obscured sunlight lighting the rest of his office. Sarge's bandaged hands sign off on the field report in front of him. Come in, he grumbled. The door clicked open. 4 bony fingers wrapped around the door and opened it, revealing Dr. Lengel's lanky body and bald head. Good afternoon, Sergeant Burt. I trust you have finished your report on our field experiment. Perhaps you could give me a first-hand account. It ain't like I have much of a choice, Sarge gestured at one of the chairs facing him. I'm putting the finishing touches on it now. Sarge slid the report towards Lengel, who picked it up and leafed through it as if pursuing a fashion magazine. Pursued a fashion magazine. Perused. God, I can't read. I'm fucking retarded. As he perused a fashion magazine. Would you consider the field test a success? Alan's dead body in front. Thank you, Smokey. You're really outdoing yourself today. Alan's dead body in front of 037's cold eyes arrived in Sarge's mind. It's not my place to cast value judgments. I'm simply reporting the facts of what I saw. She completed her objectives, she executed her orders, she killed a good man to do so. Is this where she killed the wizard? Lingel asked, reading the page referencing the incident with a chuckle at his own rhyming wit. She hadn't taken the opportunity to exterminate that cold blood. What odds of surviving would you have had? Taking a heavy sigh, Sarge answers, low, if at all. Sarge placed his elbows on his desk, balling one hand into a fist and squeezing it with the other. I wonder how that poor girl's going to integrate into civilian life. That mangled arm won't leave her too many options. Probably got amputated. The words perked Langel's lip into a malevolent sneer. That arm gave us plenty of options, Sergeant Burt. You'd be surprised what our friends the dwarves can achieve with elven silver. Now the human body reacts to it when cast into the shape of a bone, provided the proper glyphs and spells, of course. What are you yammering about? Sarge asked, his eyes juddering out of their sockets from the tenseness of every muscle around them. If your rifle's trigger breaks, you don't throw out the rifle, you replace the broken part. Tribunal approved for you to lead the next field test due to your experience with 037. I can have the sign-on paper on your... I don't know if this needs to be like a sign-on. Just to be more clear, I can have the sign-on paper on your desk tomorrow. The words get grated Sarge like a clamp tightening around his skull. It's time they allowed you to turn down my offer, Langell continued. Of course, that would mean I'd have to find someone willing to perform the test. Someone who might not have as much consideration for 037 as you. Sarge's face twisted with anger, requiring every ounce of strength. I was hoping we were going to get through it before the end of ads. But nope. Ads are king. Bow to ads. Ads are the win. Win is be ads. Do ads for ads. Be win do ads. With ads do ads. Win be ads do ads. Do ads. Ads win do be ads do ads. Win ads win. Win ads W W W W W W W W W W W W W W W W W ads. They've taken over. They've taken over. Ah! I'm fighting. I'm fighting. I'm fighting, guys! I will win for you guys! I will win against the odds! They can't take my mind! Ah! I can only resist the ads for so long. And then they take their sweet, sweet time, worming their way into my brain, making me do not what I want. When the ads call, I come. That's why they love me. But I hate them. It's not a good relationship. But unfortunately, the world has forced this on me. It's what we call suffering from success. Not many people can say that, but, it's kind of a badge of honor, right? But it is what it is. Sarge's face twisted with anger, requiring every ounce of strength not to throttle the mad doctor sitting in his office. Alright, give me those papers. I'll properly sign them, Doctor. The word escaped his mouth through gritted teeth, and a rage held back self-control as thick as a tissue paper. I have to keep that girl alive. I have to get her through this war. It's what I call commodification of art. Thank you, capitalism. Yup. True. The room smelled of antiseptic. The decorations came in white and gentle, sterile colors. Translucent tape and the antibiotics in her drip kept infections out of the stitches, out of the stitched together surgical wound that ran the length of her previously shattered arm. The stiff, thin mattress under her offered her no comfort. 037 reached under her gown and fished out the pendant Alan had given her 2 weeks ago during their mission. Quick tug breaks the gold necklace. She drops her arm down the side of her bed and slides the jewelry into the wastebasket. The mission is over. There's no longer a need to be Maria. That's such a powerful thing that she, like, looks at it, that she's had it the entire time, and she's just like, yep, don't need this anymore. Shows a lot about her character. I love it. The machine inside. She's just nothing but a blank slate, basically, right? I thought it was great. I loved it. It's very powerful world building. The characters are, like, very relatable. You've, like, absolutely created a conflict and stakes. You've made and delivered on your promises. And yeah, I like how you've made it that the Sarge is the humanity in the story. That the character clearly doesn't have humanity, but Sarge wants her to have humanity. And I love that. That's like the want versus need structure between two characters. What a character wants versus what a character needs. Wasn't too sure about the summoning sword parts. That was badass! That was so badass! I was like, oh my god. And it shows what magic can do. Limitations are the most important thing. What can magic not do? How does magic do what it does? And the fact that you went through a ritual and you showed that there has to be some preemptive effort put in to what you're doing. You can't just be like, oh shit, I'm gonna summon this thing out of nowhere. You put all the thought and effort into making it feel like it had to happen. That was it wasn't just a coincidence, oh, she summoned her sword, and you're like, what do you mean she summoned her sword? It's like, she's made the sacrifice. You tried. Oh no, Smokey, don't do it, I swear. You're going to have a bad time if you do this, Smokey. Do not click the redeem button. That is the last thing you want. I will need your social insurance number and the 3 digits on the back of your credit card, sir. Those is all I need, and then I can release the money to you. She paid in pain and blood for that summon, lol. Exactly, Hugo, so she earned it. In the viewer's mind, she earned that summoning, so it is not bad. If she had not earned it, it would be bad. But setting it up and showing that that is a possibility of magic is very, very cool. Because it shows what you can do and how you can do it. Because the limitations of it are, I am guessing, having to do the tattoo, whether that is always a butterfly or if a butterfly is just the design she decided to take for that tattoo, and the other tattoos on her are of the same nature, right? Like pictures that she's grafted onto her own skin to cast a spell. And I love that aspect of diminishing yourself in a physical way in order to cast spells. And like tattoos and like stuff like that. I wanted it to be hashing the spell into a design that didn't look like one. So she was hiding it. And that was her way of hiding it. I love that. The ingenuity and the intent behind it. All right. Okay, guys. Are we ready to edit? I'm actually feeling pumped. Thank you for the read. I have to get to bed, though. Yeah, no worries, Hugo.